Hello, everybody, and welcome back for another episode of Spill the D. My name is Gina. I'm one of your hosts, joined here as always with my fantastic co-host Rick. How you doing, handsome?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
I am doing very good. We are one day closer to our next Disney trip.
That's true, and it's coming up quick.
It is. I'm so excited. So excited.
And while we're very excited for our next Disney trip, there's a lot of things we're excited to do. There's a lot of things that we're not going to do, though, and we're probably never going to do again.
And that's where this episode comes in. I'm excited to go over our list, though. What we did was we came up with two different lists, one for Rick, one for myself, of things that we wouldn't do in Disney again. And we're going to discuss it with you guys because they are, some of them are kind of funny and some of them are like, no, I'm not doing this again. I'm standing my ground. Some of them are like, well, maybe not, probably, blah, blah, blah. But before we do that, we have one piece of Disney news that we would like to share with you all. As always, we try and do news that we know is going to affect your vacation or could affect your vacation. And today's could affect it depending on where you're at. So if you are a hardcore planner, down to the minute, you have your Disney trip coming up and you're going to Magic Kingdom and you're ready to see Happily Ever After. Don't worry, you still can. But something that you need to keep in mind is that Disney has officially announced the date that the timing on Happily Ever After is going to get pushed back. As it gets more in the summer and it gets darker later, Happily Ever After will happen later. So as of March 10th, it is going to be happening at 8:30. And then as of March 31st, Happily Ever After is actually going to go to 8:45. We have seen it as late as 9:30 in the past. So make sure you check before your trip on what time the show is happening. Make sure you're checking the app throughout the day. They can just change it if there's an issue or whatever, what have you. But that is the only piece of news that we really have. They just announced the first official pushback time.
Really exciting, though, because that means we're getting back into summertime, which means that, at least for us in Pennsylvania and wherever you're at listening, if you have cold, it means the cold's leaving, which is all that really matters.
See, I'm weird. I don't mind the cold. To a point. We've been pretty freezing at some points.
It's nice at the very beginning after a nice long summer, but I don't need it for more than like 2 days.
See, I would rather be cold than hot.
I'm the opposite.
I'm a weirdo. Much rather be cold than hot. But that is all for news. These are my favorite kind of news episodes when it's like, not really much.
Yeah.
And we can just go right into the fun spot.
But if you want to book a trip and you're worried that you might not know what time the fireworks are starting, or you just need some more information, we're going to recommend that you use our friends over at 407 and Beyond Vacation Company. They are a Universal Orlando, Disney World, so many other places, travel agency. Their travel agents help book and plan your perfect family vacation. So all you have to do is show up, have a good time, and not worry about anything. They'll do all that for you. If you want to start with a free quote, you can go to www.407vacations.com and get hooked up with a travel agent now. And they'll do it all, like I said.
They're pretty great.
They are great. Also, if you haven't seen it yet, Tuesday, Tip Tuesday. Check it out on our page. Gina's really excited about it.
I am really excited about it. I've had these videos forever and just didn't get a chance to use them, and now they're getting used.
So if you didn't see Tip Tuesday, go check that out. It's basically just travel agents from 407 giving some of their best tips for you guys. And who doesn't love free tips?
Yeah, I'm going to put a little highlight on our page so you can find them and just click.
So look out for those every Tuesday. Look out for the one that she just posted, I guess 2 days ago.
The first. Yeah. The first of many.
So, but yeah, let's get into it.
Oh my gosh, let's get into it. Okay, this might be the quickest we've ever gotten to anything in any episode ever. Okay, things I wouldn't do at Walt Disney World again.
If there's a caveat, just say it right away.
Yes, some of mine do have caveats. I will be honest. And keep in mind, what we are saying right now, these are our opinions. We're going to explain why we have these opinions, and you can decide based off what we're saying if that matters to you or not.
Yes.
What we're saying, you might want to do anyway, but these are just things that we have done, and we're good. We don't need to do them again.
Yeah.
We might have done them 1,000 times and still not want to do them again.
For me, my list is almost actually entirely things that I have done once and I don't feel like I need to do again. So everything that I'm saying is stuff that I would still recommend you try once, but I don't need to do it again.
I actually can completely agree with that.
That's how my list is. I've done it before. I don't feel like I need to do it again, but I wouldn't tell someone not to do it for the first time because, like Gina said, everybody likes different things. You might like it, even though I didn't. But my list is just things that I didn't like.
Actually, look at my list. Some of mine, I would literally tell people like, don't ever do that. But some of them are, yeah, you should try it once and form your own opinion. I also am a firm believer in like, I'll try anything twice. Like, you got to give it a second try sometimes.
Yeah.
And then like, if the second time it still is like, oh, this still isn't fun, then it might be like, okay, I'm not doing that again.
Well, the one thing on my list, the only reason that I'm gonna tell people to do it once is because I suffered, so you should also suffer.
Do you want to start with that one, or you want to start with a more serious one?
No, that one we'll get to.
Okay, well, you go first. Go ahead,
Okay.
give me a good one.
So my first one is it's almost really hard to do at this point because festivals are there all the time. But we did it the first time we went to drink around the world, and I would never do it again. And that is try to eat and drink in every country outside of a festival. So if there's a festival going on and you can get the small portions, you can get the small drinks, stuff like that, it's much more doable because there's not an overload of flavor. There's not too much alcohol sitting in your system. But I would not ever drink and eat around the world at the same time without it being festival food.
I can respect that. I definitely can. And I'm looking right now because I was just out of curiosity because these festivals just start earlier and earlier every year.
And there's like a month where there's not a festival.
It's almost to the point where like you have to actively try to go to Epcot when there's not a festival because there is almost always some kind of festival happening while you're there. So out of curiosity, I did look. There's usually a 2-week break between Festival of the Arts and Flower and Garden. So there's 2 weeks in February. Actually, it's currently, as you're listening to this episode, there is no festival going on. Then between Flower and Garden and Food and Wine, this is where there's usually about a 2-month break. Now, this used to be like a 4-month break.
Okay.
It used to be that that Food and Wine Festival didn't start until like September.
Okay.
So now it's starting in July. Because it used to be the festivals were like to help bring people in. Like, and now it's just people like festivals. We're doing festivals. Yeah. So now there's this like weird 2-month, usually from like end of May to like middle to end of July before the festival starts, where there's not going to be a festival at Epcot. And then there is like, again, about 2 weeks between between Food and Wine Festival and Festival of the Holidays. Towards the end of the year. So what's that mean? So maybe about 3 months total out of the year.
So a quarter of the year there's not.
Yeah, like 12 weeks out of 52, there's no festival going on. Yeah. So if you do find yourself there in those few weeks, I do agree with you because that was what happened with us. We went in August, but we went in August back before Food and Wine started as early as it did. And we were like, we're still going to eat around the world. And we went into quick service places. We got drinks at bars. Like, we made an effort to drink and eat everywhere. And it's very expensive. The drinks are very big. You don't get, like, to sample it as much as you do when there's a festival. Yeah. And I agree with you. I would still try and do... I would make it more of a focus to do the countries you specifically want, where you look at a drink and think, I like that. I want that, rather than I'm checking off every single country. Yeah,
and I'm not saying that that's not something that you could do. Like, if you know you're going to like the beer in Germany, get the beer in Germany. But don't force yourself to get something in China just because you want or need to get a drink in China to check off your list. Obviously, I'm not saying that people shouldn't take a 21st birthday trip and go drink around the world because that's something a lot of people do. And it's a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun when we did it. But like you said, all the drinks are big. All the food is regular sized. And it just becomes a lot. You're doing it over the course of like an 8 to 10 hour day, but it is a lot. You're going through a lot of countries. It's a lot of food. It's a lot of drink. The festivals are nice because you can sample it and decide if you want a full one. Because there was plenty of drinks that we had when we did the full thing. And it was like, we got it, and I didn't like it, but we finished it because we spent $15 on it, you know? Whereas the festival is like, you get a little 3-ounce
little
cup of it. Yeah, and it's like, okay, I don't like it that much, so like I don't feel too bad getting rid of it.
So here's my question for you. If you went to Epcot and there wasn't a festival, would you eat and drink at every country if you were going with the intention of sharing it with people? Or is this just like completely off the table? You never want to do it again if there's not a festival?
No, I don't want to do it again if there's a festival. I have
If there's not a festival.
Yeah, if there's not a festival, I don't want to do it again. There's certain foods and drinks that I like, and when we get to those places is when I'll get those things.
Okay. I can respect that. I like that one. All right. Should I start with transportation, parks, resorts, food? What do you think? I got a little bit of everything on my list.
Let's see transportation. I'm interested.
Okay. So, what I would never do again. I would not. This is going to be, I think a lot of mine are going to be hot takes for people. I think we're
Okay.
going to lose some people. Sorry. I personally would not take the ferry instead of the monorail in the morning if I'm coming from the Ticket and Transportation Center to Magic Kingdom.
That's fair. The ferry gets packed in the morning.
Yes. So what happens is you walk up to the monorail and there's a crazy line and the people are standing there saying, "Go to the ferry, go to the ferry. It's just as fast. It takes just as long to get there." And you believe them, which maybe it is normally true.
Yeah.
But twice now I have done it. And both times we ended up just standing there on the ferry, waiting for it to fill up and then for it to go. And now it used to just go back and now it takes like a loop around. Yeah. Maybe it always didn't. I just for some reason didn't remember it right. But it took like a weird loop around that morning. And it took significantly longer than what the monorail would have taken, even if we were waiting in line. I am convinced. It was so long, so much of just standing there. And at least on the monorail, I feel like because the monorails are continually coming, I would have consistently been moving.
Yeah.
I just felt like I was just standing there.
Let me ask you this. Do you think part of the reason that you feel that way is because one of those trips was our day trip and it was wasting time that we could be in the park since we were already missing park open?
It definitely, that definitely makes a difference because that was like, they're like, go, that is just as quick. And then we got there and I'm like, there's no way. I'm watching the monorails go.
Yeah.
No way this is just as quick. And this is just from our personal experience. Maybe it is just as quick. Maybe just the few times that I got on it, it wasn't for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But it definitely was not. And I would take the monorail again if I was put in that situation of being there first thing in the morning and I wanted to get to the park and maximize my time. As far as what's a better ride
experience
and a better experience, the boat for sure. It's a great time. If I'm not in a rush or if it's middle of the day and neither of them are that crowded, yeah, I'll probably take the boat. Or I would take the boat back to the Ticket and Transportation Center when I don't care about how much time it takes.
True.
But if I was trying to get to the park, again, even if they are the same, for my brain, mentally, there's more monorails coming and I'll be moving more than if I'm standing there still on a boat waiting my turn. Or not even waiting my turn, waiting for the boat to move.
Well, the problem is the monorails fill up so quickly and the boat needs a certain amount of people before they're willing to let it go because there is going to be a constant influx of people. And for them, it's not worth it to run it if it's not a full boat that early in the morning.
I think it has to do with it being a full boat and when the other boat that's coming, when they'll cross over at the right time, that it's not so much just standing there.
Yeah.
So I think that there's a whole art to it. And because of that, it is sometimes you do just, if you get on last, you might be like, wow, I walked up and we just took off. And that might be perfect. But we were towards the front of the group of people that got on it. So we just had to stand there. So again, I wouldn't do it again just because I had 2 rough experiences. At least 2. I'm thinking about it. But it could work for somebody. I just will be getting on the monorail next time.
Yeah. That's fair.
Thank you.
I'm with you on that one. All right. My next one might be a little controversial as well.
I love these ones.
I will not be going back to Uga's Cantina. Oga's Cantina. I won't be going back. It was an okay experience. 1, I'm not much of a Star Wars person. 2, the drinks seemed overpriced to me. Now, granted, the drink that I got was a little bit on the small side, but from what everybody told me, it had a lot of alcohol in it. So, I don't know. I didn't really think it did.
I didn't either.
Anyway, not the point. The theming is great if you're a Star Wars fan. The experience, I'm sure, is great if you're a Star Wars fan. We did not have as much fun because it started off not great because no one told us that we were standing the whole time because we're not Star Wars fans.
Wait a minute. Yeah, okay. Here is my question for all of you people out there who have been to Oga's Cantina and talking about how great it is. How has the fact that there's no chairs in it never been shared?
Yeah, I don't know how that...
I don't, like,
I feel
I
like
don't
people
understand.
just assume that we know that.
If you have never been in there...
Cantina.
How do you... I was baffled because there's booths. There's random booths that some people get. And I feel like that's what I always see online is people in these booths. So we go in post marathon and I'm like, cool, we're going to go to a bar and hang
Sit
out,
down,
relax
enjoy
and
it.
get some. We go in and they shove us in a corner
Yeah.
where we're staring at a wall because they had built like a way, like a standable bar top kind of thing that faced a wall.
Almost just a shelf.
Thank you. That's the word I needed.
It's just
They
a shelf.
built like a shelf into the wall, and that was our table that we stood at. And I was like, "We're standing here for our allotted 45 minutes that we get while we're in here."
That's the other thing. So the two main things of reasons why I won't go back is one, it's timed, 45 minutes, and two, again, no one warns you that you're standing the whole time, which isn't the worst thing in the world if you're expecting it. But if you're expecting to go in and enjoy it and have a good time and just kind of relax and enjoy the ambiance, it's not good. You're not happy about it when you walk in.
Yeah, I was not expecting it. I was like, where are the chairs?
I've never been there, but another part of the reason that I'm not going back is because I feel like I would enjoy Baseline Tap House more.
You would. It's kind of like a brewery vibe.
Yeah, like I feel like the drinks I think I would like more because I feel like with the themed bars like that, they always try to go overboard with like themed drinks and like adding all this stuff in there. Sometimes I just want a drink, like a regular drink. Even if I want a mixed drink, I just want like a regular mojito or something. I don't need all this extra stuff in it. And so if I go to a bar in Hollywood Studios again, it's probably just going to be Baseline Tap House. I don't need the experience of Oga's Cantina again.
That's fair. The other thing with Oga's was everyone always talks about the DJ. We're not Star Wars people. We're not. So that also checks off of why we weren't interested.
Yeah.
And honestly, I always thought that if you weren't a Star Wars person, it could be one of those things that you still enjoy. Like I can still enjoy Galaxy's Edge and appreciate it. I didn't enjoy or appreciate this bar really. I enjoyed our company. I had a good time with the people I was with, but not the bar. But everyone always talks about the DJ that's in there. I don't know his name. It's a robot DJ.
Idea.
It's a whole thing from Star Wars. I'm not positive because of the corner we were shoved in. I didn't even see him.
Yeah, I didn't see him at all.
I didn't see him at all. We were literally in like, it just was like a weird experience. You have to put your name in, let them know that like get your thing 60 days ahead of time. Let them know that you're there when you get there, and then you take what they give you, or you wait longer if you do ask and they say yes. So we obviously just took what they gave us because we didn't know, and we didn't know that it was that we were going to be just totally shoved into a corner. Then random strangers came in, and this man looked furious that there was other people in the corner with him. Fair, he was trying to hang out with his family, and there's 4 strangers standing there. So I don't know. I had a weird experience. I agree with this one.
Yeah, wasn't the biggest fan. Also, there's only 2 super basic food options in this bar.
Yeah.
If you're looking for food, this is not the place to go.
And if you don't know Star Wars, the drinks all have like Star Warsy names that you're not going to understand. Like you're literally not going to get any references.
My drink that I had was called Jet Fuel, and that was as close to not Star Wars related as you're getting. So
yeah, we did have a huge Star Wars fan with us who has been there a few times and loves it a lot. So this advice is probably not for a Star Wars fan, but if you're not a Star Wars fan, I'm going to back you up on this one. I was so just like, this is a waste of the 45 minutes.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the company. I had a good time because of who I was with, but I did not need to be in that bar.
Like I said at the beginning, I'm not saying don't try it once. If you think you might like it, give it a shot. I just don't need to go back.
Fair. All right, I'm going to do a food one.
Let's hear it.
I've actually talked about this one on the podcast before, so this one people probably knew were coming if they are our weekly listeners. I would not go back to Space 220. I don't need to do Space 220 again.
Not in its current form.
Not in its current form. I don't think it's going to change because I think so many people do like it and think it's cool. I felt like, first of all, it's in Epcot. There's so much food in Epcot at all times. Even if there's not a festival, there's so much food, so many other restaurants, so many options in Epcot. It's a very cool concept. The coolest part was the elevator, in my opinion. Once you're up there, it's a restaurant with a cool projection on the wall or TV on the wall. Whatever is making it look like you're in space.
And not even as cool as it could be.
No, not even as cool as it could be. The theming of like the tables and everything is very much like futuristic space, like just sleek black. And I wanted
Jetsons is what you wanted.
Yeah, I wanted it to be a little bit more of like an immature vibe, if that makes sense. This is just me
Almost
personally.
cartoonish.
Yeah, I really feel like I'm in space right
Like
now, and
full stereotypes of spaceships.
Yes, I didn't. Yeah, I that is what I wanted.
Uh-huh.
A little bit more,
Fair.
even more. Doesn't even have to be as colorful. Maybe even more like what you see in like Guardians of the Galaxy, with just all
Yeah.
the stuff everywhere. Like
Yeah.
the walls were just there. They were
Mhm.
just walls. They had some funny space like plays on like the bathroom signs and everything, but nothing too wild. Videos that are playing to make it look like you're in space aren't anything crazy. Something flies by once in a while,
Yeah.
but I thought it was going to make it feel like we were kind of moving the whole time, and it didn't. It just felt like we were floating in space.
Yeah.
And then the food was actually some of the best food that I got that entire trip.
It was good.
It was. The food was amazing, but it was expensive.
Mhm.
And it also was a very long meal. We were in there for about 2 hours
Yeah,
from the
it was.
time we got there and waited our turn to go in to when we left. It was about 2 hours. And
Yeah.
that's just a lot of your day that I just was not in love with it enough to go back and spend that money. Unless I don't even know if I have an unless for this one. I really think
Yeah.
that for me personally, like if I was with a group and that was all they wanted to do was go there, I might that might be my thing that I would say, okay, guys, I'm going to sit out and just
Yeah,
go do
see
my
you
own
later.
thing for an hour or two while you're in there. Call me when you're done. Because it's expensive enough that I
Yeah.
don't even think I would do it just for the sake of everyone being happy. I think I would
Yeah.
be like, okay, I'm going to go do my own thing. You guys have fun.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like I said, in its current form, I completely agree. If they
Yeah.
change it at some point, I'll go back. But
I think if anything, if I was to go back in it, I would go to the bar because they have like a little lounge area that you don't need a reservation for. Ahead of time, you can go up and put your name in. But it does get really backed up because it's a lot of people who couldn't get the reservation the first time because it's still hard to get.
yeah,
But I would do that just to get the food because, like I said, the food was
Food was
delicious.
good, yeah.
It was like the
still weird
steak I
that
had.
the steak came with French fries, but
Yeah, that was weird. But the steak that I had was one of the best things I
Yeah.
ate the entire trip. So I would go back for that, but I would not go back for an entire meal at a table with the full ambiance and everything. Not worth it in my opinion, and I was a little like about it.
calamari was really good too.
The starry calamari.
It was so good.
I think it's my buffalo cauliflower. Buffalo cauliflower was good, but nothing to write home about. It was just buffalo
And
cauliflower.
again, it's cheap, so it makes it feel not worth it.
Yes, I was so confused on what to get because I was like, I need to make this meal worth it because it's the same price no matter what you get.
Yeah.
And I was like, this needs to be worth it.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I got steak, which I was very happy with. But I kind of wanted the burger, and my sister-in-law got the burger, and it looked great. So like, I don't think that there's a wrong choice, but if you're trying to get your money's worth, it makes it hard.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. Now this one, some people might not even know exists. This one is the one that I said at the beginning of the episode. The only reason I'm saying it is so that everybody else can suffer with me. For those that don't know, there is a ride in the America Pavilion in Epcot.
Not a ride.
And there is an attraction
There you
in
go.
the America Pavilion. It's called the American Adventure, and it sucks. It's really bad.
To put it nicely,
It's really bad.
garbage.
It's not good. You sit in this empty theater because no one goes on this attraction. So it's a very empty theater, and President, I forget who it is. Is it Lincoln? I don't even remember.
There's more than just presidents in it. It's like a full.
Is it?
You learn. It's all of these people from America. Ben Franklin's in it.
I think I fell asleep during this.
You did.
Oh, we did it. But I would never do it again because it's so incredibly boring. The voices are super monotone. The animatronics that they have are not what you see in the Pandora ride. They're not what you see with the new Tiana. Like, they're not that. They're very much were the original animatronics for this ride, and it's super outdated and it just doesn't need to be there.
So, Disney's description of it. Okay. Take a seat in a stately colonial theater and meet Ben Franklin and Mark Twain, your guides on this trip through time. Witness landmark events like the landing of the Mayflower, the Boston Tea Party, the winter at Valley Forge, the penning of the Declaration of Independence, the Civil War, and the Great Depression.
This isn't a play. That's not what this is. It's
It's a play with animatronics. It's like Hall of Presidents.
It's not a play. It's there's animatronics that go across the stage occasionally, but it's very much a lot of talking and not very much a lot of things doing stuff. Try it once. Make an opinion for yourself. It's good. I will say this. The entrance to the attraction is very cool. Like the way you get into the attraction with the building that you go into, very cool. The attraction itself, not good.
It is a 28.5-minute production.
It's a great nap.
That opened on October 1st, 1982.
They didn't change it since.
Do you know what that means? This was opening day. That opened with Epcot.
Yes, they did not change it since opening day. It's the exact same thing that was their opening day. It's not good. It's not good. Try it if you want. If you want to try it, if you're running out of things to do in Epcot, go for it. I'm never doing it again.
I don't need to ever do it again.
Unless I need to take a nap and someone is looking for something to do.
There was comfy chairs, there was air conditioning, but overall, no, I did not enjoy this.
0 out of 10.
I was good. I'm ready to get out of there. Right about the time that I got in there, I looked at him. I was like, "What are we watching?"
Didn't we leave early?
We both thought the other one wanted to stay. We misunderstood. And then I do think we eventually were like, let's go. But I remember at the time being like, why does he want to see this? And then
I was fighting to stay awake.
Yeah. And then I think we were like, why are we still in here? Let's go. But no, that it wasn't good. No, not a fan. People like it. People like Hall of Presidents, and I think that's boring.
If you like Hall of Presidents, you'll love this one.
Yeah. Or like great moments with Mr. Lincoln, you'll like it.
All three.
All three of you. You three enjoy it. Okay. So I'm going to do my next three or my last three, I guess we have 5 each for today, are all controversial. So I'm trying to decide which one to go with. Do I hit them hard with the one that's a real hot take, or save that for last?
Let's save our super hot takes for last.
Okay, so I'll go least hot take to most hot take now then.
Okay.
I don't know, the other two are kind of tied. So things I won't be doing at Disney again. I will not be going to Disney from Christmas to New Year's.
Fair. It's packed.
It is too crowded. Here's my logic on it. I understand why people do it. First of all, it is a magical time of year to be at Disney. It really is. Your kids aren't in school, so I get that if you don't want to take your kids out of school. It's an experience. It's a story. I did this. We got to do this. It's a story for your kids to tell their kids one day. Like, oh my gosh, your grandparents took me to Disney on Christmas Day, because that's the part they're going to remember. They are not going to remember the part, but you will, where it was completely mobbed. And it was shoulder to shoulder trying to watch the fireworks, especially on Christmas Day and New Year's Day or New Year's Eve, where everything was more expensive. All the prices are raised because it is the most crowded time of year.
Yeah. Because they can.
Because supply and demand, and people will pay it. I can tell you for a fact that even the resorts get more crowded on Christmas Day because people have plans to go to the parks, and the parks are so crowded because there's also so many local people coming in and people who are staying off property that come just for that day, that they leave and they come back to the resorts. So I worked at the pool on Christmas Day, and it was insane.
Which is crazy that people... Being from Pennsylvania, it's crazy to say that people were at the pool on Christmas Day.
It was so crowded. And the part that's crazy is I was there Christmas Eve too, and it was a little crowded. It was like, okay, the crowds are definitely here for the holiday now. Christmas Day, chaotic. Because again, everyone is like, oh my gosh, the parks are so crowded. We're not doing that because it's not worth their time.
Yeah.
Because you are shoulder to shoulder. These parks are selling out. People are getting turned away. Chaotic. And like I said, it's more expensive. The tickets are more expensive. The hotels are more expensive. Flights are more expensive. I will not be doing that. That is one thing I will not be doing again. Again, I understand why people do, especially if you're working around a kid's school schedule. But if you can avoid it, I would. There are other cool times of year as far as temperature, if that's what you're worried about. Christmas is up from November until the second week of January. You can still get the Christmas experience, not on Christmas and New Year's. Like, all of that magic is still there without it being that week. Do what you got to do. Work with your schedule that you got. I totally understand that. But crowd-wise and budget-wise, I will not be doing that again.
I've never done it. I will not do it. But what I would do, and hopefully will do at some point, is at Christmas or New Year's time, which either one is fine, because I've heard my parents did a New Year's cruise and it was awesome, they said. I would do a cruise and here's why. It's capped.
I'm saying
There's only so many rooms.
Yeah.
Disney has a capacity that they're not going to follow because they want money.
Well, they're gonna follow it because I know when I worked there was no reservation systems. So they did follow it, people away at the gate because they were full that day.
They'll go to 100% though.
Oh my god, yeah, they're totally go to 100%.
And 100% on a cruise is a lot different than 100% in Magic Kingdom.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So what I would do, and what I hopefully will do at some point, is a Disney cruise during the holiday.
That would be cool. I can agree with that.
But I will not do Disney, like the actual parks.
But even the Disney cruise, not talking crowds, talking price, it's going to cost more.
Which is fine. That's fine. It's an experience.
See? That's what I said. Why people would still do Disney
No, it's
World.
an experience, and I do want to do it at some point, and I know it's going to be more, but it's a one-time thing. It's not like something that I want to do every year, but I would like to do it at some point.
Can respect that.
So.
Now keep in mind, what did I just said about all the holidays being more crowded? All of the holidays are more crowded. You go on President's Day, it's going to be pretty crowded. Holiday weekends are going to be crowded, but nothing like what Christmas and New Year's is.
Yeah.
The other holidays will be crowded, but not like as bad as Christmas and New Year's. Chaos. Absolute chaos.
All right. My second least, I don't even know what word to use anymore. This one's going to make people less angry than my last one, I think.
Oh, wait, can I say something real quick? I'm so sorry.
No,
just to finish off the Christmas and New Year's thing. If you do go on Christmas or New Year's, or the week of Christmas to New Year's, which is a very popular week, avoid Magic Kingdom on the holiday days.
Go to Animal Kingdom.
Yeah, honestly. Go to other parks. They will also have festivities going on. They will still be crowded, but they're not going to be Magic Kingdom crowded.
Plus, Hollywood Studios and Animal Kingdom just look better at Christmas anyway. So.
Oh my gosh, I love them at Christmas. I love them so much at Christmas.
They're just the two better parks.
Hollywood Studios has that like old school decoration feel, and Animal Kingdom is just like, it's beautiful. So beautiful. I'm sorry. Okay, so go ahead. I just wanted to give that tip real quick while we were talking about it.
Less controversial of the two, I think, for my last two. I will never be getting the kitchen sink again.
Boo!
For anyone who knows, you know. For anyone who doesn't know, the kitchen sink is something that you get from Yacht and Beach Club. It is a massive sundae that most of the time can't be finished by one person. I don't know if has anyone ever done it by themselves.
I've seen groups of two do it, so I'm sure people have done it by themselves.
Insane. And it's just a big bowl of ice cream. And the problem that I have with it is not that it's a big bowl of ice cream. Anyone who's been listening for a while knows that I'm not a sweets person. However, if I'm in the mood, I can crush some ice cream. The problem that I have with the kitchen sink is it's about 40% ice cream and 60% toppings.
Yeah, there's everything but the kitchen sink.
There's far too many toppings on it. And I think if you could substitute the toppings that you want for the ones you don't want, like I don't need pineapple on my sundae.
I actually really like that much more than I thought I would.
Give me more Oreo crumbles. You know, like there was just a lot of flavors in the toppings that I didn't need on the sundae. The ice cream itself was good. Some of the toppings were good, but it was at the end, especially when we were finishing it, it was like melted and then it was just all toppings and it was gross.
I have here what's on the kitchen sink if you'd like me to share for anyone who doesn't know.
Go ahead, read it.
Scoops of vanilla, chocolate, strawberry, cookies and cream, and mint chocolate chip, topped with hot fudge, peanut butter, Snickers, fresh baked brownie, and smothered in every additional topping we have. Also available in Chocolate Lovers and Neapolitan.
Now, if you take away the mint chocolate chip ice cream, that's probably the most controversial part of this. If you take away the chocolate chip ice cream and you stop after whatever it was, brownie, where they switch to every other topping that we have, I'm fine. I got no problems. I'll get it again. It doesn't need all the other toppings, though.
I like it. And I like all the toppings because technically it's supposed to serve 4. So I like all the toppings because if you don't like something, you just move it over. Just let everyone else have that.
There's just so many
I'm not a Snickers person. Throw the Snickers to the side.
It's a lot of work, though, with how big the sundae is.
It's fine.
So, yeah, that's mine. I'm not getting that again. It's not worth it to me.
That's so depressing. We're probably going to get it again.
We're not getting it again.
I'll be getting it again at some point.
You can get it again.
Whether or not Rick participates is another conversation.
I'm just going to get a milkshake that I am going to enjoy. and not feel like garbage afterwards.
Sometimes it's just so good to feel so bad, though.
Not worth it to me. 20 egg rolls for Magic Kingdom. Worth it.
Spring rolls. Come on, educate yourself.
Worth it.
I don't know, $38 and it serves 4. That's pretty good for ice cream.
It's a good deal, money-wise.
It's not really, actually, because a Sunday on Main Street's like $6, $7.
It's a very large Sunday, though.
That's true.
But yeah, so that's mine. I don't know how controversial that is based on how many people have had it. I don't need it again. I'm probably not going to get it again. At least I won't be a part of getting it again. I'm sure you'll get it at some point, but
Absolutely.
I'm not going to eat any of it.
All right. I can't wait to get a video of you eating it when we do it. When you're like, I just get one bite.
I'm just going to get a milkshake. I'm just going to get a cookies and cream milkshake and
that
call it a
sounds
day.
good. I like a chocolate cookies and cream milkshake.
See, I'm normal and I like vanilla better. So.
When they use chocolate for the base and then put Oreos in it.
Vanilla's just better.
I'm a really big fan of that. I think that's really good. Okay, sorry. So, my next one. I said this was controversial. I don't actually think it is. I think a lot of people would agree with me on this one. I will not be getting a Genie Plus at Epcot or Animal Kingdom.
Yeah, I mean, we've mentioned this one before. It's not worth it.
It's not worth it. It is expensive, and there's not enough rides. Like, you can wait in those lines with what there is. I would get individual lightning lanes.
Yes.
I would pay to do the Guardians Lightning Lane. I would pay to do Flight of Passage if it was a crowded day, but I wouldn't do Genie Plus. There's just not enough to make it worth it, especially because you only get one Lightning Lane per ride. Yep. That's the biggest thing. If you could get Genie Plus and do a few, or if let's say they made it that you got 10 Lightning Lanes and do with them what you want, you could put all 10 on one ride, or you could go and spread them out between 10. That would be different. That would be a whole nother conversation. But considering the fact that you can only do each ride one time with your Lightning Lane through Genie Plus, I just don't find it worth it in Epcot or in Animal Kingdom. The lines, none of them get so crazy that it's not worth standing there. And if they do, usually if you just check back later, they'll drop lower. Every time we've gone recently, I haven't seen Soarin' over like 30 minutes. And we've gone in the middle of the summer when it's pretty crowded, like not over 30 minutes.
Everest hasn't been over like 20.
No, Everest hasn't. Dinosaur really can in the middle of the day, but it'll kind of fluctuate throughout the day. And honestly, when there is only a few big rides, you can give yourself more flexibility to wait a little bit longer. And I personally think sometimes the waiting with your family and friends can be fun, playing games, talking, whatever.
Yeah, especially depending where you're at. I think you nailed it. Guardians and Flight of Passage are the only two that I don't want to wait in the long line for. Because out of those two parks, my top 3 rides are the 2 that you mentioned, and then Remy is my 3 now. And I would not mind waiting for Remy because you're outside for a little bit, but then you go in and the queue is awesome. The ride's really good, and like the ambiance in France is just nice.
And I prefer rope dropping too. If you do have a ride that doesn't have an individual lightning lane that you're like, I want to get it. I want to make sure I get on this without having to wait 2 hours for it. That's where rope dropping or going at the end of the day and strategically planning your day out can save you a lot of money.
Yeah.
Because lightning lanes and Genie Plus, they're not cheap, especially if you have a family of 4, 5, 6 people. Like, that adds up really quick, especially on those busy days. Even with Animal Kingdom being the cheapest park for Genie Plus, it still can be expensive, again, and it adds up. And then the only other one that I think gets pretty long that would be nice to have Genie Plus for, but we don't, so it's fine, is Test Track. And my solution here, if it is a possibility for your family to separate, single rider line, you can almost walk right on. Like, you might have to wait 15 minutes at most, maybe 20. Obviously, that is a results may vary thing. You could end up waiting significantly longer. If there's no odd number groups, there's no odd number groups.
Yeah.
But most of the time, it is pretty quick.
Yeah.
If you're willing to separate. If it's more about experiencing the ride and less about
experiencing it with people.
Yes. That's up to you. That's what you want to do. But again, even then, the wait time, if you rope drop it, go at the end of the day, get it right after it reopens, after a storm, because it inevitably is going to close due to a storm.
Yeah.
You could get on it pretty quick. And if the wait time's high, it can go pretty high, but if you're lucky, it could stay around like 45.
And the only other one that is really an issue is Frozen. And that's going to be a play it by ear probably. As if you have a family where you have kids who are super excited about going on Frozen, maybe it's worth it for you to get something for that. Um, but in most cases, I don't think it's worth it because that does drop during the day to a reasonable-ish amount of time.
That one fluctuates pretty well. It stays decently high. It's you gotta go rope drop it, or when you go towards the end of the night, that's when it gets real low because all the
Yeah.
little kids are gone. The
Yep.
little kids were still there getting ready for the fireworks. So that's when it's a
Mhm.
really good time to get on it. But yeah, if you just rope drop that one, you can work around the wait times. But still, we only named 3 rides in Epcot
Yeah.
that you could do an individual lightning lane for. If that's it, you got the whole day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like any other ride isn't going to be more than like 5 to 10 minutes, most likely. If Figment is over like 20 minutes, oh, you must have went on Christmas Day because that should not be that high. Like
Yeah.
most of the rides in Epcot in Animal Kingdom are not going to get crazy high. You're gonna be fine. The lines are not going to be too bad,
Mhm.
and you're gonna have a good time without having to spend that extra money for your entire family
Yeah.
or your entire group.
Yeah.
All right, your last one.
Last one, most controversial probably. If it's up to me, and it's most of the time not, but if it's my decision, I will not ever be watching the parade on Main Street again. And here's why. I've seen it once. It's fine. The castle is in the background. You should probably see that at least once. Like I said, see it once.
It's magic.
My reasoning for not doing it again, there's a few reasons. One, it's super crowded. It's almost impossible to move when the parade is actually happening. There's a really good chance you're just going to be getting hit with backpacks and strollers for however long you're standing there for. You get the exact same view if you go back to Frontierland / Liberty Square, because that's where it starts at. You see every single float that comes through. You see everything that happens on Main Street, just not with the castle in the background. And to me, it's worth it to be able to stand there and have space to move a little bit while I'm watching the parade, as opposed to squeezing your way to the front on Main Street or trying to stand up above people and try to get over top of their heads and see bits and pieces of it as it goes past. Main Street just gets so crowded for the parade, and for me, it's not worth it standing there.
I agree with that actually. The only thing I want to add to that of why it can be not worth it, you said about like trying to see over people, through people, blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is if you get there early enough that you don't have to see over people and through people, you have to get there pretty early before the parade starts.
Yeah.
And then the parade's going to take a decent amount of time to actually get to Main Street.
Yeah.
So if they say that the parade is starting at 3 o'clock, for example,
Mm-hmm.
that means it's coming out in Frontierland at 3
3
o'clock,
o'clock.
and it has to slowly make its way through Frontierland, through Liberty Square, and then out to Main Street.
Yep.
So if you're down at the end of Main Street by the entrance, it might not get to you until like 3:20.
Yeah.
Like, so if you got there so early because you wanted to save this spot,
Uh-huh.
if you got there even 15 minutes before,
Yeah.
that's what, 35 minutes that you were just sitting there. Which I know doesn't sound crazy, but think about if you got kids with you, like
Yeah.
that's a long time to tell a kid, no, just wait.
Yeah.
So, and that's a long time for me to sit there and think, no, just wait. It's
Yeah.
coming, I promise. So, yeah, that's a hard one to see it on Main Street. It is.
Yeah.
It's a lot of just waiting and a
Yeah.
lot of saving the space or trying to squeeze through without blocking anybody who did just wait that whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely. Sometimes you can get lucky. You can
Yeah.
walk up at the right time at the right spot and
Yeah.
be good to go. But I agree.
Most of the time, not.
And the other cool thing is when you watch it in Liberty Square, Frontierland, when it's done, you go hop on rides. Half the people in the park are still on Main Street waiting for the parade or watching the parade, and it already went past you.
I was just gonna say that was the other reasoning that I had.
Sorry.
So, no, it's okay.
I got excited.
So if you're watching it on Main Street, for those that don't know, Magic Kingdom is just a giant circle that branches out from Main Street. So when the parade is over, if you're on Main Street, you're going to be fighting crowds of people in motor scooters, in strollers, just big families pushing their way through. Whereas if you watch it in Frontierland or Liberty Square, you're in the back of that circle and you can spread out, like Gina said, immediately after it gets past you. and you can spread out right or left, whichever way you want to go. If you want to go towards Fantasyland, just bank a left and go all the way around. You're not going to interfere with the parade at all. If you want to go towards Adventureland, you can take a right and go that way. Like, it's easier to get places after the parade, and like you said, you save time.
I think mentally we were just watching the parade from different sides of the street.
I was watching it facing Country Bear Jamboree.
Yeah, I was watching it standing outside Country Bear. Yeah, I was watching it standing outside Country Bear Jamboree. So I was like, why is he taking a left to Fantasyland? What? I was like, wait a minute, that's not right. So that's really funny.
But yeah, that's it. If it's up to me, I'm not watching it there again. We're going to go over to Frontierland and watch it from there.
I respect it. I definitely respect it.
All right, last one.
I don't know if I want to say it. I feel like I'm going to get attacked.
You'll be fine. Go ahead.
Okay. Before I say this, everybody, I need you to stay with me. Do not turn the episode off when I say this, and do not yell at me until you hear my whole argument.
I'm going to yell right away.
No, you're not, because you agree with me. I will not be staying in a moderate resort again. Never. No, let's be honest. I'm totally going to. We're making it a mission to go to stay at every resort. But if I'm planning a vacation, I have no desire to stay in a moderate resort. And here's why. Disney is expensive. Mm-hmm. Disney is extremely expensive. Moderate resorts start roughly around like $300 a night, okay? Uh-huh. Value resorts start around $150 roughly. I think they technically say they start less than that, but that's probably like 5 days out of the year that they start less than that. I haven't seen them below $150 anytime we've gone in a while. So there's the All-Stars, there's Pop Century, and there is Art of Animation. All of them amazing resorts in their own way. People hate on the All-Stars, but it does its job if you need a place to sleep. Mm-hmm. If you want a nicer resort, that's when people will upgrade to a moderate resort. Mm-hmm. I don't find it worth it to upgrade to a moderate resort because all that you're doing is spending more money for a little bit nicer of a resort, but you still don't have the perks of staying at a deluxe resort, which, depending on which deluxe resort you're staying at, on the right night could cost as much as a moderate resort, like as little as what a moderate resort would cost in comparison, or maybe like an extra $50 a night. Mm-hmm. But then you get the perks of the extra evening hours, mm-hmm. and some of the deluxe resorts have the spas, the gyms, things like that moderate resorts don't have. Uh-huh. Closer to the parks, usually, too, also a perk. The other thing is, when we've stayed at deluxe resorts in the past, we always try to rent Disney Vacation Club points, mm-hmm. which can bring it down for a deluxe resort to the price of a moderate resort.
Or lower. If
not the price of a value resort, if you get a good enough deal on what it costs for the amount of points you need for that night at the deluxe resort. So mm-hmm. I personally have never seen the value of staying at a moderate resort when either renting Disney Vacation Club points or staying at a value resort was an option on the table. Personally.
So this take has nothing to do with the fact that you're bougie now?
That we have Disney Vacation Club. Surprise, everybody, we bought Disney Vacation Club. So we also will be staying at deluxe resorts because of that. But no, if we're pretending that we don't have Disney Vacation Club right now and I'm paying out of pocket for a resort, uh-huh. I just do not see the value of a moderate resort. I would rather, if you look at a moderate resort, some of them are upwards of $400 a night, uh-huh. where that's about what it would cost to stay at like Old Key West, or sometimes Animal Kingdom Lodge can be that low. And these are deluxe resorts that get the extra evening hours and have those other perks. They have more restaurants on property usually. Not always. There mm-hmm. are some, usually I'm trying to think, the moderate resorts all have at least one restaurant. Coronado is the outlier that has the deluxe perks at the moderate price tag. Mm-hmm. But I just think that one's boring. That's a whole nother episode. But yeah, I don't see the value of staying at a moderate resort.
Yeah, I think the only reason that I would say stay at a moderate resort is theming. If you're a fan of the theming of the resort, maybe room size, because you'll be able to get bigger rooms than you would be able to at a value resort. But that's about it.
But here's the other thing. Like, my thought on room size and things like that, Swan and Dolphin,
Mhm.
owned by Marriott,
Yeah.
on Disney property. Swan and Dolphin and Swan Reserve. As much as I'm not a fan of saying like what is considered off property, those do get the same perks as a Disney deluxe resort.
Mhm.
So if room size is an issue, I would try and get one of those because their price per night is roughly the same as a moderate resort. And again, they have the deluxe benefits and they're in a great spot, walking distance from Epcot and Hollywood Studios.
Yeah.
So if that's the argument, then I would go with one of those. But again, when you can rent Disney Vacation Club points or just maybe happen to get a deluxe resort for the price of a moderate, especially when they have some of those deals out where it's
Yeah.
like stay a certain amount of days, you get a bigger discount, things like that. I just don't see much of the value of a moderate.
Makes sense. I'm on board.
Okay, so I looked up a random week in July just to like kind of see the actual math on this. Here's my caveat of it doesn't apply too much on this one. It would cost over $100 more per night to stay at a deluxe over a moderate. But I do want to show you as much as I can on a podcast that sometimes though renting DVC points can bring it down to cheaper than what a moderate is.
Yeah.
So if I went on, I used David's DVC just to see the prices of what it would cost to rent through them for the same week of the 15th to the 22nd of July, and Animal Kingdom Lodge, Boardwalk, Old Key West, the Riviera, and the room that only sleeps 2 though, Saratoga Springs. All of these resorts would come out, if you stayed at a studio, less than $300 a night.
Mm-hmm.
Where the cheapest moderate resort for that same week was $302 a night, I believe, or $308.
It's about the same.
So roughly the same to stay at a deluxe resort if you rented DVC points. So that is where my argument comes in of I would rather do that than pay for the price of a moderate. If I couldn't get DVC points, I would personally go to a value, but I can see why someone would go to a moderate if they did want a little bit more in their price range. It's just not what I would do personally because I'm more about what is the better deal.
Yeah, and that's just something that you're going to have to test out and figure out for yourself because that's something that we're really not going to be able to give advice on. That's just totally a personal preference.
Personal preference. This is how my brain works and the way that these prices work. I just don't get the hype of a moderate.
Yeah. This
is something, though, if you talk to your 407 and beyond agent, they can help you break down the prices of value versus moderate versus deluxe. They don't have anything to do with DVC rental.
Yeah.
That is not them at all, but they can break down the other prices for you. And even if you do decide to rent DVC points, they can still help you with your tickets and your dining and things like that. Don't feel like if you rented DVC points, they can't still help you with your tickets and help you plan your vacation. But they can help you decide what is the cheapest option for you based off the packages that Disney's offering.
True.
So you don't need to stress and sit there like a psycho like I do breaking down the numbers. There is someone who can help you with that to get the best deal for you and your family and figure out what resort is best for you and your family. But that was my last one. I hope I didn't lose too many people on that hot take of I don't like moderate resorts. All the moderate resorts are honestly gorgeous. I just don't love the price tag on them.
Makes sense.
Thank you. Like I said, hope that didn't make people take away any of my credibility. This is just my opinion. That's all we got. That's it, right? For now, at least. There's still a few more on here, but we'll stop here for now. We'll do a part 2 one day. This feels like a perfect one to have the listeners send in some submissions. So we'll post that on social media in probably a few weeks or something and be like, hey, tell us what you think. If you don't have social media and you want to send in a submission for things you will never do at Disney again, you can email them to us. So send it over to spillthedpod@gmail.com. Make sure you're following us on social media. We are at Spill the Tea Podcast. And guys, if you really like what you heard, we'd love if you give us some stars and some reviews. It helps people find our podcast. It makes it so that if they type in Disney podcast, we'll come up sooner. So if you like what you heard, word of mouth, some reviews, we love all of it. And thank you for everyone who already has shared the podcast, whether through word of mouth or through reviews. We really appreciate all of you.
But that's all we have for this episode. So until next time, we will
see you at the castle.